Hello everyone. This is Erasmus Plus podcast from Riga, from YOUth Hotel. On this week's episode, we have a special topic which named AI in education. We have our very familiar faces and voices,
Khadija?
and I believe you will find this topic very interesting. So be prepared today about the topic of using artificial intelligence technology in educational settings. But first of all, before we jump into the very interesting and novel and recent topics of ours, how are you girls? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, excited to share more about what I have today.
I'm great. It's a nice weather and everything is going good till now.
Yes, today is actually very special. It's not just because of the podcast, but because we can see actually the sun here in the north. So believe us that this is a special occasion. So now that we have discussed our emotions and feelings, we can proceed, I believe. On my own, I have prepared something not so, well, I wouldn't say it's not so important. However, I would say I was more interested in the general population's idea of using artificial intelligence in education and perhaps the teacher's idea how they think about it, ladies. And what most people do when they have some sort of a broad idea of what to look for. I browse Reddit, of course. And there is a subreddit called education. If someone is not familiar with Reddit, it works in a way that people can write questions and just write comments anonymously. It's quite famous if you are not familiar with it. So on my first article or comment section, there was a topic of a teacher who is complaining about kids are becoming a slob because they are using AI. And the problem is that they cannot really form opinions on their own. What do you think of this? Do you have like a special or a professional outlook on this topic?
Yeah, for sure. That's what I've also seen in people because of children are using AI in their everyday lives, even for just like simpler tasks, which they could have done it on their own. Like even searching for what is it that it should be done, some basic question. When you don't do that, you impair your critical thinking skills. You are not using the brain that is like made to do these tasks. You are just relying on some tool that will give all of your answers for you, and you don't have to think anything about that. You just copy this answer, paste it, and you don't have to ever think about or go back to it and say, okay, like what might be wrong, what might be correct. You just rely on the technologies. With that, it like makes you, as you, what was the word that you mentioned earlier?
It was slop.
Yeah, it's making the children stop because of the same reason. And it's not just about just like not the critical thinking skill, it's also about other things. They are becoming lazier and more lazier. They don't want to like put in effort in anything now, not just for the education but also other aspects. They just say that okay, we can do it like in a second, doing use the AI to generate like not just research purposes but also for creative purposes for each and everything. Yeah, that's what I totally agree with what you have said earlier. Maybe Shivangi has something to add on to that.
Okay, but I would like to give another perspective to what you guys are saying. I would say AI has a lot of other benefits regarding education, such as I would say AI systems can analyze students' performance and tailor content and pace accordingly. It also saves time for teachers because it automates tasks like grading, generating lessons, ideas. Also, I feel like with AI you can get feedbacks very easily and faster than what a teacher can provide you, that is like on-site on-site gradings, which can actually enhance their ability to know what, like where they are going wrong, what is wrong with like the problems they are facing. Feedbacks are very immediate. Also, I think AI can actually provide extra support what they need. AI can teach you in multiple languages. There are so many adaptive tools regarding each and every students. I think AI can actually also used for enhancing ability and can introduce new ways to learn more than just making them slow or slop, as you said.
I would say I do agree that it does provide all of those things that she had mentioned earlier. It does help students a lot, but it's also about how do we use it. We have to use it in a way that it helps you, not hinders you. So we have to keep both of these things in mind, right? Using it as a perspective that she said earlier to help you in grading, to help in maybe like adjust the pace of the student. But if you are just like going on asking simpler questions, that's not also the right approach, right?
So if I might say that you would highlight the more like creative ways of using or leveraging artificial intelligence in education.
Yeah, for sure. There is a concept called immersive learning. Nowadays, schools are moving towards that, where you have smart boards, where you have smart goggles, stuff like that, which you can use to actually like make sure that the child is very interactive or interested in learning stuff. You are showing them in reality like what might be happening, what is the current phase of different stuff like that. So this is learning on a creative level. This is learning, this is enhancing their what they have already learned, this is enhancing their brain power. That is a good way. But there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are some other ways. So it's all about like keeping the balance and making sure that you are using the right side, you are being on the right side of AI.
If I might add, like most of the comments or people, okay, in general, people who comment on Reddit, usually they like to vent or complain about most of the stuff. So in general, the comments are mostly in negative. However, like there are also, yeah, as you mentioned, there are some positive aspects, or some people would prefer to highlight or think about in a positive way. Let me just say like one or two examples, because I think they are very, very interesting to read or hear about. Some teachers recommended that students should use AI for generating questions for review reasons, or if they let's say don't understand something, they should explain, or they should have the AI for explaining things. And also it could be used for like vocabulary learning or making examples of some more unknown questions perhaps. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, actually, I found this study that's like student using an AI tutor achieved significantly higher grades, basically improvement up to 15 percentile points compared with those who didn't. And this study was about implementing learning principles with a personal AI tutor. It was a case study which included effective learning strategy based on principles like personalization, retrieval practice, and spaced repetitions are often challenging to implement due to practical constraints in a classroom. It is quite hard for teachers to repeat same things again and again for students who have little bit difficulty to understand. So I think AI can easily do that, because when you are learning with AI, you are the only one, and AI can actually match your pace about learning and also can give you feedback according to what you need and tell you, okay, this is good for you, this is not good for you, you should focus more on this aspect of what you want to do. So I think AI is actually very good in that aspect, and we should use AI.
May I say just a question about this research, because I think it's, I'm coming from a scientific background, so I must ask something about it. Which that you mentioned that there is like a increase in performance based on the in the grades or in the percentage of the test. However, I will be very curious about checking the students' overall GPA or test scores later, and not just right after that test. Or if there any difference, let's say like after like in a few months or after a semester. I don't know if it's mentioned or how is this research was made, but I will be very interested. If someone is working in education setting or has a research in education, please follow on this one.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned earlier, that it does help with like all of those stuff earlier, but I want to just add that while it is helping, that while you are learning through AI, you have to keep some things in check. One of them being you are learning the right things. You are not learning through bias, because there's a lot of bias on AI, on the different tools, on ChatGPT itself. The answers that you might get might be biased towards certain criteria, towards certain thresholds that have been set by other people that have not been verified. So what I ask from all of you is, when you are learning through AI, just verify the sources, verify the facts, make sure that these are the correct ones that have been stated, and not something that is just as a source from nowhere or anywhere.
I really hope that the audience was or were writing their points when you were speaking. If I may, like, continue or keep up on this topic, or maybe to lead to some sort of a summary, or you can also like add your opinions on it one. But I think because I brought up the positives and negatives in this debate, there were also some ideas which cannot be put as a negative or as a positive and a negative aspect. However, they are also very important. I think this could be some sort of a in mid between good or bad debate in this debate. Let me just say a few examples, for example, of course, from the commentators, because they are always right. There is one topic which doesn't debate whether it's good or bad, is that it's cost effective. And people or teachers or schools don't have really a choice about this one. So it's pointless to ban. And there was an example of the calculators. I don't know if in your schools they brought up the example of calculators, that you should do calculations in your head because you will never have a calculator in your pocket. So you have to know how it works. Well, I think after like 10 or 15 years of living your life, when this sentence was told to you, maybe we can assume that we can prove that they were not right about this. And so we have a calculator.
Okay, adding on to that calculator example, let's not start talking about how AI tools are with mathematics. If you try to ask an AI tool that 2 plus 2 is, what is it? It might say 4. But if you try to reason with it, no, it's not 4. You see, 2 plus 2 is 5. And you try to persuade it, it will get persuaded and it will agree with you. And then after a few messages, it will say that 2 plus 2 is equal to 5. So there is that aspect. So you should need a calculator. You need your head to have like those calculations there, because anything is possible with AI. You just have to be persuasive enough.
I think the last words from my side would be that AI is good and bad both. It has its both pros and cons. And AI is actually future. AI is will always be there now. So I think it's on us how much we want to use it and how we want to use it in our daily lives. We should also not forget that we are humans and critical thinking is one of the biggest, like one of the basic things as humans we have, and we should always ask questions, know if it's right or wrong. Not We should not believe AI completely, but also we should incorporate, I would say, AI in our daily lives, but not depend on it fully.
As I would say, this the point that she pointed out was that is a critical thinking is one of the main aspects of it. And also I would just like to add that critical thinking or the brain power is what makes us different from other species. So if we have that, it's what like makes us humans. So we should try to and keep enhancing that, keep strengthening it, because it is what will help us in really big long time, and also help us develop more technologies that will improve AI and make it more responsibly usable.
I absolutely love your ideas, and I agree with both of you. Maybe if I can summarize, there was a very great sentence which I would like to read up, which says, technology always disrupts existing systems. So if there is something which voluntarily or involuntarily makes people use their brain power like in a little bit different, maybe also the system should adapt to these changes as well. Well, thank you for being here for today, and see you next week. If you like the episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, or like the video. Bye!
Bye.